Hi aviators, I'm Captain Rolly. In today's video, we're going to talk about VSI or Vertical Speed Indicator. To be specific, we are going to discuss its history, definition, function, operation, and the problems that can be encountered on Vertical Speed Indicator. Many of you are thinking where the VSI came from. Let's take a step back closer to the history of the VSI.
Variometer is another term for VSI, but the difference between these two is the term Vertical Speed Indicator or VSI is most often used for the instrument when it is installed in a powered aircraft. The term variometer is most often used when the instrument is installed in a glider or sailplane. Variometer was invented in 1929 by Alexander Lippisch and Robert Kronfeld.
What is a vertical speed indicator?
A vertical speed indicator, also known as a rate of climb and descent indicator or RCDI, is a pitot-static instrument which indicates the rate of climb, descent of an aircraft, or the aircraft is in a level flight. It is measured in feet per minute or meters per second. The vertical airspeed is measured through a mechanical linkage to a diaphragm located within the instrument.
What are the parts of the vertical speed indicator?
Diaphragm. The diaphragm is a fancy name for a flexible metal container that's directly connected to your static air source. The diaphragm is also connected to a set of gears and rods that move your VSI's needle up and down. And that happens when the diaphragm expands and contracts, but we'll get to that in a second. Calibrated leak. The calibrated leak is a tiny hole that connects the casing of the VSI to the static source, but there's a catch. The hole in the calibrated leak is small enough that it restricts airflow, so it can't move in and out as fast as the diaphragm can. Static port connection, where static port is connected to the case. Case. The case is used to make the VSI sealed and airtight and is connected to the static line through a calibrated leak. Return spring. The return spring helps the needle to go back to 9 o'clock position.
What is the function of the vertical speed indicator? The function of the VSI is to give information to the pilot whether the aircraft is descending or at climbing speed. Second, to help the pilot maintain their aircraft's altitude. Third, to guide the pilot if the aircraft is in level in flight. Fourth is to measure the rate of pressure change. And lastly, to help the pilot maintain the aircraft's rate of climb and rate of descent. How does a vertical speed indicator work?
The VSI is separated into two. The top half, which you can determine that you are in ascending if the needle is pointed to top half. The second half is the bottom, that you can recognize that you are descending when the needle is pointed at the bottom. Behalf of that, when the needle is at rest position, you can determine that the aircraft is in level flight. It works by the static port that is registered by the static pressure that is connected to an aneroid capsule that determines the value of the VSI. So in level flight, the pressure in the diaphragm and inside the capsule are equal so that the needle is in zero position. The diaphragm average time to equalize its pressure is between 6 to 9 seconds. When the aircraft is in high state, the air becomes thinner, so in the ascending state, the pressure inside the capsule becomes higher and the aneroid capsule becomes slower. And if it contracts, it is distinguished as the rate of climb. Also, when the aircraft is in low state, the air becomes thicker. So in the descending state, the pressure inside the capsule is lower and the aneroid becomes high so that it expands, so it determines the rate of descent.
So here's how it all works. Let's say you start climbing. As you climb, your static pressure decreases, and as it decreases immediately in the diaphragm. But the instrument casing is a different story. Since the calibrated leak lets air out slowly, it creates a higher pressure in the casing than the diaphragm. When that happens, it creates a pressure differential. The diaphragm is squeezed down, and the gears connected to the VSI needle make it move up. And the greater the pressure differential, the more the needle moves up.
But what happens when you descend? As you descend, your static pressure increases, and as it increases, immediately in the diaphragm, the pressure in the instrument casing becomes lower. Since the calibrated leak lets air out slowly, it creates a higher pressure in the diaphragm than the instrument casing. When that happens, it creates a pressure differential. The diaphragm expands, and the gears connected to the VSI needle make it move down.
What are the problems that can be encountered on a vertical speed indicator?
The vertical speed indicator inherently lags, but it is more sensitive than an altimeter. It is due to the reason that VSI requires some time to catch up rather than altimeters, which are sensitive. This can result in a 6 to 9 second lag to stabilize, which will inhibit accurate readings during turbulence or abrupt control movements. Alternate sources of static, when selected, will typically show a momentary climb. It is due to pressure differences in the cockpit than outside. A blocked static port will give a 0 indication.
How are these problems addressed?
The VSI should read 0. If it indicates anything other than a 0 feet per minute climb or descent on the ground, then the instrument can still be used, but that indication is the new 0. This, of course, is highly discouraged if the error is such that a mistake could create a serious hazard to flight, especially in weather.
But before we end this video, I got some trivia for you. Did you know that there's a new VSI called Instantaneous Vertical Speed Indicator, or IVSI? It is a new instrument that removes the lag error associated with the vertical speed indicator. It uses two accelerometer actuated pumps to give you a lag-free indication, with a special feature of an accelerometer also known as dashpot. But instantaneous vertical speed indicator is not perfect. It came up from some errors too, just like the turning error and the turbulence error. In turning error, the VSI may indicate a slight climb when turning, while the turbulence error, the VSI may fluctuate up, down during the turbulence. Did you know that vertical speed indicator uses a logarithmic scale in which it gives more accurate readings on lower readings? Did you know that vertical speed indicator displays two different types of information? The trend information and the rate information. The trend information shows an immediate indication of an increase or decrease in the aircraft's rate of climb or descent, while the rate of information shows a stabilized rate of change in altitude. On the presentation, the vertical speed indicator shows a stabilized rate of climb at 200 feet per minute. Lastly, before we end this video, please like and share this video to other aviators out there. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell for more upcoming videos. Safe skies!